Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Late Podcast. This one is a little bit different. I've kind of had I'm going to have my little notes here to kind of guide me. I'll get better at that part. When I first started this podcast, I just had I felt like I needed to do it to talk about some of my testimony. But like many of us, that can be kind of challenging. I think it can be a little embarrassing, and because especially the way I'm doing it, it's going to go out to the world, whoever comes across it. And I just felt that calling. I don't know where today's episode is going to go, but I just felt the need to do this also. I'm going to call this series Becoming. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a testimony. I know we talked about it before, where I was going to go over it with when Yvonne and I were talking about our testimonies at some point or another. I talked about a guardian angel that I had, so I want to talk about it for a little bit. Let's take it back. So back in 2011, so quite some time now, I was working, I'm going to try to make it long story short, but I was working in a medical facility as a medical assistant shortly after graduating. And the day, I had been there only a couple months, maybe weeks, I don't even remember how long, but I remember the day before I decided to cut my own hair. I've always liked cosmetology, the idea of it. Like, let me just do it. When you're passionate about something, it'll come out good. So I was like, let me just try it. So I cut my hair, and surprisingly, it came out pretty good. So then the following day, we had a training, and this group from the state came in, and they were telling us, I don't even remember what they were talking about, but at the end, one of the ladies was like, oh my gosh, where do you get your hair done? I love it. And I was just kind of like, really? And I just laughed and told her, I actually just cut my hair last night by myself. So, yeah, I didn't really go anywhere, but thank you so much. And she was just in awe, I guess. And she was like, you know what, you should come cut my hair. And I don't know, now I know, but at the moment, I'm just like, why did you say yes? I said, yeah, sure, but I don't have a car. She's like, it's fine, I'll pick you up. That's kind of weird. Right? Like some total stranger coming and picking you up. And I just said, sure. And she was like, yeah, dye my hair. So we went to go buy her hair dye. I didn't have clippers with me or anything. So she bought the hair dye, the clippers, the little thing to go over her, the apron. And it was the weirdest thing. It was a Wednesday. I got to her house. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's so weird. So then I go to her house, and I remember where we're sitting in the living room. She had a bunch of windows, beautiful home. It was bright. And she got a phone call, and she was just talking to somebody, and I overheard her say, yeah, I won't be able to make it tonight, but I'll see you guys next Wednesday or something like that. And I just was thinking, and I was like, wait, today's Wednesday. Today we go to church. And I was like, let me ask her. So I said, hey, what church do you go to? And she said, oh, I go to Seventh-day Adventist Church on Rabbit Road. And I was just like, what? I'm Seventh-day Adventist too. And we were just like, really? And it was the weirdest thing. We just felt this comfortability, and we talked about how God just kind of put one another in our lives. I feel like God put her in my life for me. He put her in my life to bless me. And I'm already getting emotional, but this encounter I feel like she was an angel sent from heaven, and God purposely put her in my life. And later I got fired from that job, and she helped me go through the appealing process and everything, because I was unjustly fired and it was gonna affect me. I was fired for violating HIPAA. Didn't happen. I'll go into that story another time. And she helped me do the appealing process because I didn't know what to do. I didn't even know. I was just going to let it go. But she helped me through it, and lo and behold, we went to the court. It was over the phone. Went to the court, them versus me, and I won. Because the truth always prevails. I did nothing wrong. They unjustly fired me. But it was all a blessing. And I remember she was in my life. I would see her. I became her hairdresser. And I told her, I want to try to do highlights one day. I was like, I think I can do it, but I just want to see. So I just like brought it up. And she said, oh, why don't you do it with me next time? And I was like, no, it's okay. Like, because that's scary. Her hair was already like blonde. And then to bleach it, it would be super blonde. And mind you, I don't know how to do highlights, lowlights. I've never done this. But here she is trusting and believing in me. So I did it. I did it. Her highlights were like a shade or two lighter than her hair. And they came out pretty good considering, but her hair was already light. Honestly, she just did it too because she believed in me. And I thank her so much for that because I don't think anybody had believed in me the way she did besides myself, or besides like the belief that God put in me that he knew that I could always be better. So through her, he told me that again. And I remember one of the times that we were talking, we would talk about the Bible, prophecy, just random things. And she told me something that I never quite got out of my head, but I also never really looked into it. She said, I in my heart have always believed I'm going to see Jesus come again. I just feel it. I just know that I'm going to see the second coming of Jesus Christ. And so when she told me, she said, I believe that you are of the tribe of Judah and you are going to see Jesus come. And a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, I'm sure I'm not the only one that goes through like these moments of, just moments, I guess, episodes. And I was really going through it. I couldn't really tell you what or how or why, but I was just going through something. And I was praying, and I was just, my husband was asleep with our baby. He had put him to bed that night, and I was just on the couch crying and trying not to cry loud because I was like uncontrollably crying, sobbing. And I remembered her, and God put it in my head, you are from the tribe of Judah. And I was like, God, what does that even mean? What are you talking about? And so I decided to message her, and I said, hey, I printed out what she said so I could tell you guys, but because I'm recording on my phone. But I said, hello, her name is Megan. I was like, hey, Meg, I'm just kind of going through it right now, and I remembered that you told me that I was from the tribe of Judah. I don't really understand what that means, and I never really put too much thought into it until now. And I was kind of looking into like, what does that even mean? And a lot of it resonated, and I was just sobbing again, and God was speaking to me. And I told her all of that. And mind you, it's years later. It's like, I don't know, 15 years later, something crazy. And she messages me back, and I'm going to read you what she said. She said, oh, thank you for those kind words. He showered us both with mutual blessings when we met, because I told her she was like God sent. The first time I saw and spoke to you, I'm going to cry again. The first time I saw and spoke to you, I knew that you were a remarkable and gifted woman. It was like God opened my eyes to get a glimpse into your soul and saw who you are from his eyes and perspective. I got the privilege to see how special you are to him. You are a rare gem, a loving and compassionate person that God adores. You radiate joy, light, and beauty. Everyone can see it. It was amazing that we bonded right away. That was not normal. Told you guys that was so weird. That was a God thing. Although years and distance have kept us separate, God will reunite us in heaven. She now lives in California, so really far away. How awesome that will be to meet you and your incredible, beautiful family, and I introduce you to mine. We will reacquaint and catch up and share eternity together. When I'm on Facebook, I see pictures that you post and I smile and think, I can't wait to see you again. The world is almost over and our suffering is almost ended, and Jesus will take us home soon. And she sent me a verse. The Lord your God is in your midst. The mighty one will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. That's the God we serve and will be with forever. I love you. And it still makes me emotional because like her presence and her time in my life was so meaningful, especially now as I'm like going through a lot of I'm having to face a lot of my past as an adult now, and that's been really challenging, and I think Satan is trying to not let me fulfill the purpose in my life that God has, and that's why I've had this internal struggle. And so all of these words just landed exactly, and they still do where they need to. And then I don't recall what I said, but I think I told her about the tribe of Judah. And she said, "Oh, Daily, how kind of you to recall those words and remind me of those comments. That touched me deeply. Praise God. They went in as good seeds, and God used them to grow in you. He impressed me of your tribe within a short time of our meeting. My two closest friends are Judah's, and they have the same humble yet strong and deep spiritual nature of Jesus as you do. All tough tribes reflect God, of course, but Judah is King David, King Solomon, incredibly talented, and you have amazing gifts." God. And I was just studying that, and I was going to talk about something else, but then God impressed in my heart to talk about this. There's a lot that can be said in this series of becoming, and that's I would like to touch on a couple things about the tribe of Judah. I don't fully understand yet, but that really left an imprint in my heart. The couple things that I saw were that the tribe of Judah means praise. And there's this page that she sent me regarding the tribes, which I can link below. You guys can read through it. It says that the work of this tribe is bearing people's sins and weaknesses, bearing the sins and weaknesses of others, and allowing them to see Jesus through them, through their service. And it's service through sacrifice, being open, honest, and humble, and willing to be a servant leader. And it says that the tribe of Judah has this need for shepherding others. And it's something that I've always been called to do. I've always been like a protector and wanted to be a leader, but I feel like I've gotten in my own way of leadership, or I guess the way I think of leadership. But I think I know God has a different idea of what that means for me, and I'm gonna try to let him guide me in that and lead me. But I've always had a sense of shepherding others. And in my most recent job, I was in HR. And one of the things that I was most passionate about there was developing other people. I loved helping them when the teams were having issues, came across, employee conflicts, team conflicts, all of that. Oof, that would fire me up. I love talking with the team members, with the managers, getting everybody's input, giving them ideas, following up, and getting them and developing them to what I know their potential could be. And that's just always something that I love doing. It says that the tribe of Judah are leaders, and they enable others to become leaders in their own right. And that's kind of exactly what I said. There's so much more that I will dive into later, but I just wanted to do a little, just kind of let the Spirit lead me. As I look into it more, I will talk about it more. And as I was reading about Judah, I really resonate with a lot of it. It says that Judah is a natural born leader. He made a lot of mistakes, but if you recall in the book of Genesis, in the story of Joseph, when he was supposed to go get his Benjamin, and he said, you know what, I'll put my life down and you can kill me, do whatever you want with me. But he was telling Joseph, like, I am gonna follow through. And he sacrificed, in a sense, himself for the better of his family and his brothers because of what they did to Joseph. And that really, like, stayed with him. And then I recalled a situation because it talks about you putting yourself in that way. And I just remembered a situation where my sister, she got pregnant really young. And I mean, I was young too. I was like 17. She was 15. And I remember walking into the house. I still remember it. I walking into the apartment. It was already late. It's probably like 8 p.m. I don't know. And then I remember my mom came up to me and then she's like, hey, I need to tell you something. Sit down. And I was like, okay, weird. Because she's not usually like dramatic like that. And then she's like, it was so weird that they treated it like this, because if you knew my family, like, it was just weird for the situation to be handled the way it was, because my family isn't very, like, close, or I don't know how to explain it. But she said, sit down, I'm going to tell you something, your sister's pregnant. And I was just like, and then I talked to my sister on the phone, and I've never asked her, like, what she was thinking, like, why she felt like to tell me, like, almost like, maybe because I'm the older sister, I don't know. And I just remember crying. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, good for you. I was honestly, like, really sad, because I was like, darn it. She was already going through so much. She was going through a lot. And so I was like, this isn't gonna help. Like, why? I wish I was praying, like, I know this is weird and impossible, but I was like, God, can you make me pregnant instead? I will take care of that. I think I could handle this better than she could. She still has her whole life ahead of her. Mind you, I was only 2 years older than her. But I just know that, like, my personality and my drive, it's just different. And I was like, God, please let me, not her. I don't think she can. And of course, that's impossible. And so when I read that reminded me of that situation. And the type, like, if you really know me, my closest friends that know me, now a lot of the things are making sense as I learn more about the tribe of Judah. A lot of things make sense. Wow, this is just something God's telling me right now. A lot of things make sense about who I am. And for a very long time, my gosh, I'm gonna cry this whole episode. And for a very long time, I wondered, or just most recently as I've been having to face my past, I wondered and thought, Lord, I would have been such a different person, completely different person, if the things that happened to me didn't. If my life would have been just a little bit different. I don't even know who I would be. I would be a better person. I wouldn't be so angry. I would be happier. I think God is telling me that, thank you, God, because this is who I was always meant to be. Yes, I need to be, what's the word? Yes, I still have a lot of work, a lot of things to chip away, but I'm becoming. And this is who I was always meant to be, and this is who God wanted me to be. And I'm so grateful that Meg told me years ago, over a decade ago, that I was from the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah had David, but later on came Joseph, and from Joseph came Jesus. And I'm from that tribe. And now I have a son. And I just pray to the Lord that my son becomes who he intends him to be, regardless of me, in spite of me. And thank you, God, because I was going to talk about something else, but I guess this was the point. I want to talk more about this, and I hope. I didn't want to do a podcast by myself because I'm like, that's going to be awkward who I talk to. But I think this will be part of a series, and we'll see where it goes. I feel like I'm trying to do with this podcast as God is calling. I'm trying to figure out what that is. I heard a podcast this week of a girl saying, like, my podcast has become something else that I didn't intend for it to be, very serious. And of course, it's not word for word, but she said, I think this is what God is calling my podcast to be, is sharing stories and testimonies that we wouldn't otherwise share. And even though it's like a big platform, I remember somebody one time when I shared something small, they came up to me and said, hey, thank you, that was really helpful. And again, as I've been reading about the Judah thing, tribe of Judah, and trying to understand it, my testimony can have a big influence. And that's what I'm hoping. And that's what I felt the calling to do this. And I would love to share more and more of my becoming story. Still trying to figure it out. But there's a lot that has happened and has molded me into the person that I am. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that God stood by me every step of the way. He never left me. He never forsake me. And even though from the outside in, if I don't mention God, like if somebody just hears what happened, they're like, wow, that sucks. Like, it sucked, but I would not have been able to gone through anything without God. Nothing. And I think sometimes what I was going to talk about today was I was going to talk about faith, rest, and taking care of our bodies. So just to touch a little bit, I think we need to take time to pause. I have a really hard time pausing, and I think it's due to, maybe you can relate, I don't really like to, like, if I keep moving, I feel like I'm being successful and I'm not staying stuck. But sometimes you need to be stuck. You need to be stuck so that you can reflect and acknowledge God's hand moving in your life. And to pause, because sometimes the things that have happened, the way my body has responded to the trauma, even if I don't want to mentally, my body says you need to figure it out, but you need to do it. I don't know how, but you do. And so with that, I just want to say, I'll finish with Mark 6:31 that says, come ye yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. I hope you guys will enjoy this new series, Becoming, and come and rest in a lonely place. And sometimes that could be in your closet, in your room, in your car, or just in your own being with you and God. And just rest a while. And thank God for His goodness. And please let me know if there's any stories you want to share, like always. If there's anything that came to mind while you were hearing this, please let me know down below. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about next, but just like this, I'm going to let God kind of lead it. And thank you so much for watching. And remember, let's lead together and let's become together.